My name is Rondell Reed. I've broken 9 bones in my body, but I'm not in the hospital. I'm in the medical wing of the Indian River County Jail, Florida. I ended up there because I had an argument with my boss.
Don't push me!
We got into a fight and I shot him. I tried to run from the police, but I wrecked the car. They arrested me and put me in jail pending trial for murder. After 3 months in the medical wing, the doctor said I was fit enough for maximum security. It was filled with rapists, murderers, and violent criminals.
One of the things that always catches me about a person is their eyes. I tend to notice what I call dark eyes or black eyes. There's nothing there. And Rondell had that, in my opinion.
There was no way they were going to keep me locked up. I'd busted out before in North Carolina, and I was going to do it again.
They're in there for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The only time you come out is for recreation, court appointment, you need to go to medical for any reason, and that's about it.
I started looking around for any weakness in security. We were under constant surveillance. The guards were always watching us through one-way glass. There were cameras everywhere, and they counted us every hour.
When the deputies come on, the first thing they're doing is a count in their building, going by each one of the housing units to make sure those inmates are all accounted for.
Even outside in the rec yard, cameras had views of the whole area. And we were always watched by guards.
When they go out to the rec yard, there is a deputy on the recreation tower, and they're carrying a shotgun and a .45 pistol.
Despite the tough security, I was determined to bust out. I started asking other prisoners if they'd seen any loopholes. I heard that one guy was already working on a plan. His name was Levi Taylor. Levi was in for first-degree murder and awaiting sentencing. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life behind bars either.
By the nature of his crime, he could definitely be labeled as dangerous. He had a violent history as far as his charges, and he was going to prison for a long time.
I waited for the right moment.
Heard about you. Man, what you heard about me?
I told Levi I wanted to escape, and I had the experience to do it.
I busted out before.
He thought about it and decided he could use me.
See you later, bro.
We agreed to escape together. I moved into Levi's cell. The guards didn't suspect a thing. They let us sleep in any bed we liked, as long as the numbers added up at count. When it was safe to talk, we finally discussed the plan. Amazingly, our way out was right in front of us. Inside our cell was an air vent.
This right here. This right here.
Behind that vent was a utility room, which had a door that led out into the rec yard. If we could get through the vent and open that door, we could run outside and jump the fence. But there was a catch.
What about the bars?
The vent was blocked by steel bars. To get into the utility room, we'd have to saw through them. But Levi had it covered. A while back, another prisoner had smuggled a hacksaw blade into the jail and hidden it in a book in the law library. Levi'd gotten a hold of it, and that's what we were going to use to saw through the bars. That night, we waited for the guards to finish count, so we could get to work using the blades. We had exactly an hour before they came back around.
Counts throughout the whole facility were conducted the same way to make sure that all the inmates are present and accounted for. But inmates got used to the routine. They knew when we did them.
Okay, let's go. To cut through the bars, we had to take the vent off first. But to do that, we needed to remove the screws. Finally, we could start cutting through the bars. But as I started sawing, I realized we were in big trouble. The bars were made from toughened steel. And it didn't matter how much I tried to cut them. The hacksaw blade just wasn't up to it.
Look, why don't you strike on the crack, all right?
So instead of cutting the bars, I started to work on the brackets that were holding the bars in position. The brackets were made from softer metal, and the hacksaw blades sliced through. Finally, we were making progress. I kept going till the jail was so quiet, I thought we might be heard.
All right, man, come on, that's enough, that's enough. We'll do more tomorrow. That's enough.
I eased the vent back into place. Although it seemed like our plan might just work, I was still scared that a guard might see we'd been messing with the vent. And if they called for a shakedown, our escape was over. Luckily, guards didn't see a thing. Every night we had the same routine. We waited for lockdown and sawed at the brackets. Some nights the jail was so quiet we could only work for a few minutes. Other nights there was more noise and we kept going for longer. Finally, after all our hard work, we cut through the brackets and pulled out the bars. We knew our plan to get into the utility room would work. Now we had to think about what to do once we got outside.
Okay, Levi. Here's the plan.
To reach the fences, we had to run all the way across the rec yard. We knew the guard towers weren't manned at night, but there were cameras. Being seen was a chance we had to take. But the fences posed an even bigger problem. We weren't able to cut through the fence, so we'd have to take our chances with the razor wire. If we made it outside without being cut to shreds, we'd need to avoid the cops. Levi had a great idea, a getaway car. And he knew who he could convince to drive it. His girlfriend, Sadie Welker.
The maximum custody inmates are allowed visitors for a total of 2 hours a week.
How's it going, baby?
Great, baby. How are you?
Visits are actually inside the housing unit. We do it by video visitation, so there's no need to move them outside the facility.
Yeah, I like that tattoo you got. Let me see it. Levi, hey, who's that lucky guy?
You, of course.
Trying to slip Sadie a note was impossible.
I love you, baby.
But when the guard wasn't looking,
You know I love you even more, right?
Levi managed to sign that he was going to escape from jail and where they should meet.
gotta go now, babe. Love you too.
Over the next few weeks, we prepared for the escape. We collected trash bags and old newspapers to make dummies. We figured they might fool the guards and buy us some time. Then we dyed our boxers with ink pens to make them look like running shorts. Our idea was that once we were over the fence, we'd dump our orange overalls and try to look like joggers. Then finally, after all our hard work, we cut through the brackets and pulled out the bars. I barely slept. Tomorrow, we'd escape. The next night, we waited for lockdown. Count, then lights out. As soon as the guards were gone, we put our plan into action. To get inside the vent, break into the utility room, and escape.
Here, we're getting out here, man. That's it. All right, man, let's go.
Timing was critical. We knew we had just an hour before the guards came back. I put my head into the hole and climbed inside. But as soon as I was in, I realized we'd hit a huge problem.
What's going on?
I was stuck.
I can't breathe. I'm stuck. What do you mean stuck? I can't move. Get me out. I can't move. Come on. I can't breathe. I'm stuck.
I was trapped in the venting and trying hard not to panic, guessing the guards would be back for count soon.
I can't move. Come on. It's coming back out. Pull me out. Come on, man. Pull.
Then Levi pulled.
Get me out.
I was relieved that I was out, but devastated that I couldn't get through. But I knew we couldn't give up. We had to find out what was on the other side of that vent. So Levi went in instead. 40 pounds lighter, he had a better chance of getting through.
Go, go, go. Levi! Levi! Where you going? Where you going?
He couldn't open the door. It was like being kicked in the teeth.
Okay, come back now. Help me get up. Just come here.
We had to get out of the utility room. It was our only escape route.
That door's our only chance.
I figured that if I covered myself with hair grease, I might just squeeze through the venting, but that still left the locked door. I thought we might be able to smash the lock with a steel bar, but it would be far too noisy. Then I had an idea. The prisoners often watch football together on TV. Maybe we could use the noise from the game as cover. It was risky with the other prisoners so close, but we pulled out the bars. Then, Levi went in. I passed him the bar to smash the handle off the door. The noise Levi made as he smashed that handle was unbelievable. But I knew we had to go on. Finally, he smashed the lock. If I could squeeze through that vent, I finally had my chance for freedom. We were ready to go. As soon as the guards had gone, we made our move. We only had an hour before they came back.
Let's go.
We made the dummies out of plastic bags to try and trick the guards. I took down the vent. Then we pulled out the bars. I smeared my body with hair grease. I really hoped it would work. The hair grease worked perfectly, and I slid straight through the venting.
Come on, take this. Give me the lights.
In the utility room, we stuffed the lids down our overalls to protect us from the razor wire. And we ran for the fences. We knew we might be seen, but it was a chance we had to take.
I'm going first.
We reached the first wire fence and climbed. Then threw the sheet over the razor wire. The razor wire was vicious, but we had to get over. On top of that fence, I was completely exposed. There was no going back. As soon as I was over, Levi followed. the other side of the fence, we looked up.
Look, nothing up there. Nothing up there, look.
The sheet was stuck on the razor wire. With no protection for the second fence, we knew if we climbed over, we'd be cut to shreds. So we started to dig.
Come on, dig on. Get out, get out.
The soil was real soft. And in just a few minutes, we dug a hole big enough to climb through.
Okay, it was deep enough. Okay, go, go, go. Go, go. Go, down. Okay, wait for me, wait. Let's go.
On the other side of the fence, we were finally free. First chance we got, we changed from our prison overalls into our ink-dyed boxers. Then headed north to where we hoped Sadie was waiting for us.
I received a phone call from our dispatchers that Rondell Reed and Leviticus Taylor had escaped from our facility. I was asking myself a million questions. How did these guys get out? Where did they go? Who are they going to call for help? We issued a bulletin to all surrounding law enforcement agencies that there were 2 very dangerous inmates that had escaped from our facility. It was a huge concern of mine to get these guys back in custody as soon as possible.
After a couple of blocks, I was exhausted.
She's gonna be there.
My knee was killing me. I hadn't run on it since before my car accident, and I needed to rest. When I saw a bench, I stopped to catch my breath.
Let's go, come on. All right. Hey, just give me a second, all right? Hang on. All right, just wait. Give me a second to rest, okay? Jeez. Hey! Levi! Levi!
Abandoned by Levi. My escape from Indian River County just got a lot harder.
Levi! 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 Levi!
Levi had abandoned me. Without a getaway ride from his girlfriend, my only choice was to start walking. I stumbled onto a railroad and followed the tracks north. My knee was in agony, and I kept smashing my foot. But I focused on moving forward. I knew that by now, police from all over the county would be searching for me.
We need to get bulletins out to everybody.
It could have been anywhere within the state of Florida. And it's very hard to determine which direction they went.
What you got? Well, I'm guessing they're probably headed north.
But tradition has shown that before someone thinks about committing an act like this, they reach out to someone because they don't want to get on the outside and not have any type of contact. I reviewed Leviticus Taylor's visitation list, and I saw Sadie Welker's name repeatedly. I was excited to track down any possible leads.
Detective Thornton.
And then I received a phone call from the Stewart Police Department regarding contact with Sadie Welker. The Stewart Police Department conducted the traffic stop for a broken taillight. And the officer made mention of a tattoo up under her left eye that read Levi. She was in the company of an unknown male passenger. It was possible that it could have been Leviticus Taylor in that vehicle. That got the wheels moving. Based on all of those things put together, I decided to find her and bring her in to be questioned.
As daylight broke, I stumbled on an abandoned house. It was a perfect place to hide from the police. I was exhausted. As I lay there, I knew the manhunt was closing in, and I had no idea if Levi had been caught by the police.
The officer arrived at the sheriff's office with Sadie. When I went to interview her, I took a gentle approach. I didn't want to lose her as an aid to help me in finding Leviticus.
You had someone in the vehicle with you.
Okay.
Who was that?
I don't know.
She didn't seem nervous at all. She was laughing, smiling. When I asked her who was the other passenger in the vehicle,
Was it a man? Was it a woman?
she wouldn't tell me anything.
You don't know.
No.
There was nothing I could do to detain her. I wasn't very happy with watching her walk out the front door, when in the back of my mind thinking she could know where he is.
Hidden in that house, I had terrible dreams. Flashbacks of jail. Visions of fleeing the law. And of shooting my old boss.
Don't push me!
I knew I had to leave that house and keep moving.
Yeah, gotcha.
During the course of the investigation, I saw a suspicious posting on Sadie Welker's Facebook page that said, "Free Levi," which I found to be suspicious. When I interviewed her, she told me she had no knowledge about his escape. I took that posting as if she was celebrating his freedom. We decided that we need to go get her immediately for a second interview. When I pulled in the driveway, she had a go bag or overnight bag with her as she was approaching her vehicle.
It's in the bag, man.
My objective in that second interview was to get a confession. I had one overall goal, and that was to find Leviticus Taylor and to make Sadie tell me where he was. What was that bag for? Where were you going?
You want something? What exactly was you trying to go?
I started to put more pressure on her.
Where were you planning to go?
Away from here?
I leaned into her. I started to notice the pressure was just getting to be a bit too much.
You're not giving me enough, you know that?
She began to tell me little bits and pieces.
It's in the back of the truck.
You got picked up, right?
She told me that Taylor was in the vehicle when the officer was talking to her. She said she was stopped by the police officer for a broken taillight. Sadie explained to me that the officer simply let her go with a warning. They didn't know what to do. What are they going to do to hide him? There was a sense of panic. She decided to go to a local Walmart. And he was gonna wait behind Walmart.
Okay, be safe.
Until she returned, at which time they would come up with an alternate plan.
I decided to go to Walmart and drop him off at the back of the store.
You went to Walmart.
That was a tremendous break in the case because we knew he was in that area.
I was excited. I think we were all excited. If it proved to be true, he would be in the bag very, very soon. And lo and behold, on the side of the road, there was our suspect.
What's your name?
You got me. It's me, Levi Taylor.
I was ecstatic.
I was feeling great. You want to talk about a sense of relief? That was the best feeling I'd had in a long time. He was taken to the sheriff's office, placed into an interview room, at which time I interviewed him regarding the escape and the possible whereabouts of Rondell Reed. I felt the more dangerous escapee was still out. There's a code. We don't rat out each other. We don't tell the other inmates' plan. And he was sticking close to it.
Where's Rondell, man? When's the last time you seen him?
He said to me,
Listen, man, take me back to my cell. I'm not saying anything. I'm not talking. I'm not a snitch. You'll find him on your own.
It was afternoon when I climbed out of bed. Cursed myself for still being so close to the jail. Every muscle in my body ached, but I knew I had to move on.
we still did not know the direction of travel on Reed. Nothing had popped up on the radar, so it was as if he just disappeared.
I'm not saying a word, man. I have to try another approach.
I asked him if he was hungry, if he wanted something to eat, because we all know fresh food is a way to get assistance. While he was eating, I continued to talk to him about Rondell Reed's possible destination. I knew he knew something. I pleaded with him that I needed to find this guy, and everything was riding on it. So I asked him to show me the route.
All right. How about we go out there and see about that right now?
Right now?
Yeah. You ready? Come on, man, grab your stuff. You can take that with you. Let me know, man.
And he agreed, surprisingly. We drove the escape route. I learned from Taylor that Reed decided to rest on a bench.
Look, on the left side, you're gonna see a bench, okay? Yeah, there's a bench right there.
He told me he had the belief that Rondell Reed was still in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
Positive about
I'm
that.
positive about that, yes.
That was a very critical moment in the case. We were able to redirect the search for Rondell Reed.
Levi gave us a place to focus for that day. We've got a really good lead at this point. This is where Rondell was. He was in this area. That's where we focused our SWAT guys. It was disappointing. Nothing resulted in anything other than we know that's where he was when Levi left him. We really have no idea of where he could be.
It was as if he just disappeared. He just vanished.
I had to get out of Indian River County. The longer I was there, the more chance there was of getting caught. I walked about 12 miles, finally reaching the town of Sebastian. After carefully sneaking my way through the quiet streets, I saw a car repair shop. I knew that one of those vehicles could get me out of Florida. I cut my hand on the glass, but I didn't care. It was a gold mine. Finding 20 bucks made me feel like a millionaire. Put on the old clothes and tried to hotwire the car. Wouldn't start. So I moved on.
Rondell Reed was a professional car thief.
Do you want to leave your name?
So we wanted any grand theft autos to be reported to our agencies. The following day, police officers responded to the attempted theft of 2 vehicles at an auto store.
We're getting closer. I definitely felt we were onto him.
Okay.
I contacted our crime scene division and asked that they respond there to process that scene. When they arrived, the crime scene detective noticed that there was blood on the steering column.
You got any trace?
Yeah, we've got some blood.
You can get that to the lab as fast as you can.
That DNA confirmed that Rondell Reed was the person who broke into those cars based on the blood.
That was a tremendous deal. We knew he was in the area attempting to steal vehicles.
I followed the track until I'd found another abandoned house. I was holed up inside waiting for it to get dark when I saw my opportunity to get out of the county. Man arrived next door and left the keys to his car in the ignition. At last, I was leaving Indian River and the police.
Within an hour or two, we get a call that he had just stolen a vehicle from the same general area as the automotive break-ins. So now we're like, okay, this is really good. This has got to be Rondell. He just stole this car, because that's exactly what I expected Rondell to do.
I felt like at that moment we were dead on. In the back of my mind, I knew it was Rondell. It was bad news, but good news. He had resurfaced. However, he was now mobile.
In my stolen car, I hit the interstate heading north. I wanted to get out of Florida as fast as I could.
I was very concerned and desperate to find him. I knew he was back on our map, but he was going to put a lot of people in jeopardy while trying to run from law enforcement. In desperate situations, people do desperate things.
I drove for hours, but by the time I'd reached Knoxville, I was low on gas. I headed into town figuring I either had to dump the car or jack someone for cash. Then I saw my opportunity. A woman by herself.
Give me your purse. Give me your purse.
But she fought me, so I stuck the knife in to hurt her. With $150 in my pocket, I'd hit the jackpot. I was back on the highway in no time and heading north.
We issued bulletins to all law enforcement. Consider him armed and dangerous.
I drove for hours, crossing state after state. It was in Ohio that I started to think I'd thrown the cops off my trail. Then I saw police lights in my mirror. I tried to outrun him, but I lost it on a turn, and before I knew it, I was in another car wreck. After visiting the hospital, it sent me back to Florida, into solitary confinement.
I was extremely excited. I knew Rondell Reed was back in custody and he couldn't hurt anybody else.
It was the best moment because your whole life is finding Rondell Reed, and he's finally caught. You tried to run, but you couldn't hide. I got you.